You are watching the AxonDAO podcast.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the AxonDAO podcast. My name is Alea Cooks-Cambell. I'm the head of content here at AxonDAO, and I'm here with Dayo Adeosun. He is the founder of SudoCat and SudoLabs, right?
Yes.
So, as well as the co-founder of Glass Protocol.
Yes.
So we met at ETH Denver a few weeks ago. I got a chance to listen to your talk on the liberation of Africa through crypto and decentralized protocols. Absolutely blown away by this. It was such a chance meeting and just such a really fortunate one. So how have you been?
Alea, I have been fantastic, and thank you so much for that intro. I've been looking forward to this since ETH Denver, so I'm excited to chat.
Yeah, me too. Me too. You're actually a different and welcome voice for our podcast, because most of the time we're talking to independent researchers, we're talking to people that are like looking at blockchain and specifically for the applications through healthcare. But you've been building in this space for a long time, and your background is more in DeFi and gaming. So you tell me, like, have you ever heard of DeSci? Like, are we the new kids on the block?
DeSci, the thing about crypto is it in the same way AI spans across every genre industry, crypto and crypto values, I believe, span across every industry as well. So I'm very excited that you guys are taking on DeSci as an opportunity, because I went to the University of Chicago, a very scientific research-based university where, you have white papers on quantum computers. You had the first, one of the first computers in the early or mid 1900s was created at the University of Chicago. So I've, actually been around very rigorous scientific research my whole life, but I felt that a lot of professors, a lot of educators had the wrong incentives tied to their research. So my goal would be that hopefully DeSci can come up with just better incentives for these rigorous professors and researchers so that they can be rewarded more for making amazing discoveries.
So tell me, you said an interesting phrase like crypto values, but I know you're not talking about like literally token value. So what do you see as crypto values in this space?
So
I love to like wiggle, like you're so excited to tell me. You're like, okay, come on.
like crypto values for me mean, one, that incentives matter, right? And having the right aligned incentives, I believe, that's probably the most foundational crypto value, just making sure that the incentives are right and that they're directionally gonna attract user behavior that you're seeking. So in this example, if you have like a token that symbolizes researchers that are discovering new advances in, like, let's say AI, and the way to actually monetize and reward correct research papers or research papers that directionally put us on the right way, you can use crypto to not only reward the best researchers, but also to, if you have footnotes and links, from those articles, you could be giving rewards out to everybody who helped you come up with that research paper. So a good example is I met Scott Sternetta. He is quoted in the Bitcoin white paper. He came up with the idea of timestamps in the early 1990s. And I don't think he's getting paid for every single time somebody reads the Bitcoin white paper and buys a Bitcoin. But I think, if we can create these crypto incentives where it's like, okay, if you provide a foundational understanding for how to explain blockchains, I think, there should be some kickback to those original people that were cited in the original Bitcoin white paper. So I think that's just an example of crypto being focused on incentives. And and he told me who Satoshi was in Japanese, Scott, actually. So, but I don't speak Japanese, so I've actually been trying to learn Japanese for the last 3 months. just trying to figure out what he said to me. But yeah, first I would say incentives. And then second, I would say crypto, people always say trustless, we used to push, oh, you can have a trustless environment. I don't necessarily think trustlessness is a crypto value, but I do believe that um, continuity and just a history record, time stamping that idea of, making sure that history is recorded and recorded correctly and it's not manipulated and uh, 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 attacked, because history's honestly been attacked for years on years, right? And so when I was doing Glass, a little bit of that with Arweave and videos was about preserving the history of all this video content that's ever been made, right? And so I think history preserving, historical preservation is also another thing about blockchain. And then that's another heavy crypto concept that I think that this DeSci community could champion a lot. So I think those are like two of the biggest crypto values, incentives as well as historical records. And then I think the third one is really just leaving your current system to create a better system. Like I feel like the only way to get to a better system is to really create something better. And crypto's values from the beginning have always been, I don't like the way the current system is. I'm not going to fight it physically or with violence, but I'm going to build my way out and build a new ecosystem and community. It might take 15 years to get to the Bitcoin spot ETF and then another 15 years to have applications that everybody uses. But I do believe, the only way out of a lot of things is to build new systems that give people a way out. And I think that's really another third crypto value.
So I hear you talking about building these systems and then spreading adoption. And it's a very people-centered way of approaching this that you have. Because what I'm hearing under all of that too is that you're looking to solve the problems that people have with the current system that they're part of. Like, this doesn't work for me. I'm not going to build it and talk to you about all the jargon and the technology and everything like that. I'm going to solve your problem. And then I'm going to bring you into the system and then explain how this solves your problem.
Exactly.
So, I mean, honestly, if I was talking to you with no context, I would think that I was talking to a decentralized scientific researcher. Like, you're actually attacking the exact same problem that we're trying to attack, which is not to like tell more people about the world of crypto, but we're trying to empower people and have them included in a platform and in a system in an industry that's largely been exclusionary. But it's something just like finance, something that they need to be part of, and healthcare is something that they need to be part of. So before we get into all of that, you got to tell me, because I'm hearing you into this science research heavy school. You sound like a scientist when I talk to you. What made you go into gaming?
So the same reason, I look at Jensen Huang, I look at NVIDIA. Why did they start with gaming? Why did Steve Jobs start with Chuck Nolan and at Atari and gaming? I felt gaming for who I am as a person and the type of change I want to create. I felt gaming maps, which is kind of where I started, were gonna be the most expansive playground for the ideas that I had. And so it's like when you want to make a new system, you look at games like Minecraft, you look at games like Roblox, those got the kids on a whole new system. The kids are out there on a whole new system. So I do have some new systems I want to create. And so I felt gaming was going to be a new path. I feel like life's a game too sometimes, and so like, you have these rules, you have these systems. Sometimes people like the rules, sometimes people don't. And so gaming gave us an opportunity to create new rules and new systems that allow people to earn and gaming and earning, right? So it's like, I think a lot of, kids, I'm 26, but like I know a lot of, Gen Zs, they don't necessarily like how active social media is. They don't like that you have to, mind you, social medias became, worldwide for millennials. So they're late to the social media game. They don't necessarily have any product for them. That's why they're on Roblox right now. But I think In the future, there's going to be ways for them to have games that are, in real life, or games that create more interactions. And so I think games, one, the design space is just way more tremendous. So it's just a little bit harder. Two, I think the types of users and types of people we can attract are going to be a little bit more outside the box in the beginning, and we could build up with that base. And then three, I think, gamers are going to be the top earners. Gaming is the number one industry in entertainment. They're, like in the early 1980s, 1990s, they didn't know if gaming would come out number one. Gaming's now the number one entertainment industry. Web3 gaming is a $40 billion industry. I think gaming in total is over like $180 billion industry. And it does more than film, it does more than TV, it does more than all other industries. And you look at Twitch, you look at YouTube, guys like iShowSpeed, Kai Cenat. I think gaming is what captures the future, and it spans across all industries, and the market size is the biggest. So I always say, choose the biggest market size, choose a market that you enjoy, and create a new system. And gaming allowed for us to do all of that.
So this is fascinating because I've never actually contextualized gaming like that. Like, it's an entertainment platform, it's highly interactive, and it outpaced every other form of entertainment that we have. So I'm going to ask you to put on the hat of AxonDAO consultant for a second. How do we gamify DeSci?
That could be $1 billion question. That who knows how big that question is. That could be the secret question people didn't even know to ask, or no one asked yet. I didn't even think about that until, you really. So I think gamifying AxonDAO would be around, I mean, I'm literally thinking Ready Player One for these scientific research. Like it's like, I think like that, if we had a global scientific research game where it's like, okay, whoever, we're building publications on top of publications. Each publication has a contract address. And if it's footnoted in that one and someone buys that, it loots back. I remember when Mirror had all these publications making money, I don't know what happened to that, but I think, those ideas are still going to come. And so I think if you can have it in a field where, the articles matter a lot, rather than just like the articles, like I think Mirror articles were not as important articles as probably the science, as science research is. Because, I saw Jack Dorsey, he posted a scientific research paper yesterday on Twitter, and it was around the era of experience, right? So it's like, if AI is from reading all of this human data, and then you have AI robots, now AI robots are going to actually be having experiences like humans, and they're going to have their own data from their own experiences, right? Mm-hmm. So that article is probably going to be a game changer for the next 15 years of AI robotics. That person should be getting paid by OpenAI, all these, companies that are going to implement that. Or you look at like, AlexNet and ImageNet and all these, like, these people should be getting paid for that. And so they do get paid indirectly. They get hired, they get hired for the companies. But, at the end of the day, a scientific researcher is a free thinker. I don't even think they should be working for any specific company. They're here working for ideas. So we might need to reward them in a game of scientific researchers on ideas. And the game might just need a huge prize pool. And then, that huge prize pool goes out to, the top 50, published papers this year. And it's like, you don't even have to go through a process to, publish papers, now it's just going straight there. So I think in the same way stablecoins, cut out the middleman, I think you create a prize pool, you have scientific researchers, you don't need to go through the middleman process of publishing a paper. You don't need to go through all these, people to get these papers out, and you can just publish it quickly, right? And so I think, you got college kids coming up with genius things. You got PhD people coming up with genius things, but honestly, a lot of them are just suffering due to middlemen, barriers, their teachers. Like, I remember me, like, I was a good student, but I didn't love school, but it's like I knew I had ideas that were strong. So when I was like in high school, I wrote that college athletes were modern indentured servants and that they should be paid. Right. I got like a 14 out of 20 on that paper. And I'm like, literally, this is like obviously the future. Like NIL is going to be a thing. I didn't know about NIL, but it's like, I wish I could have expanded that paper and it's like, I could have put that into a global pool of ideas. And I feel like someone would have picked that up. But now it's just in a Google Doc tied to my poly prep email and I forgot it. And so I think this could open it up. How can we gamify DeSci? I think it could open it up to 13, 14-year-olds, 15. Like this could be the next stage physics. It's going to make it competitive, and by making it competitive, you get it to that high quality, like the NBA or something where, you're getting people that are like, oh, if I really think hard and I write something smart, I could potentially, make it to the NBA, of ideas.
Yeah. And what you're saying, it's always connected back to the people. Like it's about taking out as much friction between the system, or not even the system, because I would say, honestly, the system might be the friction. It's taking out as much friction between the person with the idea and the change that they're trying to create. So how would you summarize that? What do you think it means to build for people and not protocols?
That's the next 15 years of crypto. That's what that means to me. Building for people and not protocols. The first 15 years of crypto from 2008 till now have been about building for protocols. And I think the next stage is about building for people, and the people that do those, the founders that build those products, are going to be the next Bezos's, Elon Musk's, Jack Dorsey's, those are going to be, Tope Awatoni, like those are going to be the new founders that are building for people, right? Because you look at it like this, like there's so many blockchains now and there's so few users in crypto and there's so few good products in crypto. Like the quality level is so low. There's not a lot of good quality here. And so it's like whoever, Pumped Up Fun, they built for users and they made $500 million in a year. I don't know anyone else who's ever done that. Maybe outside of like the guys who were making computers back in the day. So you look at people that if you stay in it and you build for the end user, you're going to land on something the end user actually wants. And for us at SudoLabs and SudoCat, we build products that focus on helping the end user earn and products that help the end user be engaged. And that those are the two problems that we see in the space. It's hard to earn, and it's very, very hard to find something in crypto that is actually engaging to you, that you actually keep doing every day. And so that's what we're building for. And we partner with protocols. We partner with brands that don't know how to do this. And if they have really good distribution, we'll partner with them and we'll show them how to build something that users want. And so I think, at the end of the day, you have to build what users want, like YC says. And then from building what people want, you can actually build out the protocol around that. And I think that's like, where Hyperliquid is doing it, with a different approach. So I think start in reverse, start with the end user and then go to the protocol rather than start with the protocol and go to the end user. That's how we think about it. And I would say the same for science, right? Start with the scientific researcher and then go to the protocol for scientific research.
Okay, so do you think that's something that AxonDAO is doing well right now? And I don't mean for that to be a leading question. You could tell us if it's not, I promise.
I think AxonDAO is doing well because I wasn't thinking about this until you guys. So I think, like I said, the ball is low. The competition level is low. This is NBA 1960s. You have one Will Chamberlain, and then that's it, right? And he's scoring 100 points a game. So you know, I don't see a lot of competition for you guys. So I feel like, yeah, you guys you're getting the information out there. I think you could spread this globally, and how you guys want to get these scientific research pools of people, how you want to go and grow those go-to-markets with the people to get to that scientific research protocol or scientific research DAO matters a lot. And I think, I have some ideas that are popping up, but I think AxonDAO I think you guys are doing very well, for even getting this idea to really kick off. And I think when we look at this in 5 years from now, if you guys can maintain and keep going and can stay liquid and can have enough money, I think, and you figure out something that scientific researchers want and that protocols or universities might pay for, I think, it's coming up with a potentially new university model.
So you actually mentioned two things too that's like very timely. What's going on with universities right now as they're feeling the pinch with academic funding, and then just the market overall, like how challenging it is for companies to stay liquid in this space. But SudoLabs is doing amazing right now. I heard y'all are bringing on new partners, like you got new products rolling out. So what do you think is the key to your success? Is it the engagement of your community, or is it something else?
The key to our success is, one, I've already been a successful crypto founder, and I know what it takes to get there, right? So with my previous startup Glass, I think we knew video NFTs, video NFT marketplaces, just video and Web3 was going to be a big thing. And really no one else was doing it. So we became a category leader, like within the first couple months of starting. So that was one, right? I think at the end of the day, we do it different for different sake. There's nothing that we do that is similar to anyone else. It might look like that, so we have Telegram trading bots, we have Telegram mini games, we build mobile dexes, natural language and Ting AI agent layers. We build game hubs, like at the end of the day, no one does all three of those things, right? No one is as focused on mobile as we are, right? I'm Nigerian in America. So when I'm in Nigeria, nobody has a laptop. Nobody's using Uniswap. Nobody's using, Jupyter on their laptop. They're using a mobile product, right? And and the most accessible one right now for them is the Telegram trading bots. Or they're using stablecoins and payments, right? And that's all on mobile. And so because I am such a different person and I've lived such a different life, right? Like I was born in Chicago. I lived in Lagos, Nigeria. I went to high school in New York, right? And I've been able to see so many diverse cultures. And I know we went to the same high school, but I see so many diverse cultures. I have a really strong product and intuition on where the space is going and what we need to scale from 10 million active users to 100 million active users, And so I think right now, you have to be different for different sake. Like, just do not copy. Don't be like anybody else. Like, always be different. It's fine if you want to start with an idea that somebody else has. Like, I think Pump.fun had a token launch pad. We started with Telegram trading bots just to get in, and then we evolved to the games, and then we evolved to the AI agents. And so the evolution never stops. But I think it's like, be different for different sake, and then hold that conviction. Like in this space, you're going to get to a point where you're going to be like, okay, like we're the only ones left in DeSci, or maybe, or maybe like, like these companies are falling one after the other. You have to hold that internal conviction, right? Right. So for like Glass, it would have been like, instead of, people panicking, which was what happened in my situation. If we had just held that conviction in video, now we'll be launching video meme coins, right? But people panic when the bear market comes and they don't have the foresight of video meme coins, right? So then it's like all the NFT companies die, or they, like TensorTrade, they go from Tensor NFTs to Vector.fun meme coins, right? Like, it's like, you have to have the conviction. It's so important to have conviction and then you have to survive. There would, we've had many life, life-saving moments. We've always almost gone bankrupt probably already like 2-3 times already, but you can't be afraid of that and you can't panic. You have to be level-headed, strong-minded, and have conviction in the core idea, right? The core idea has to be the core idea without the crypto piece, right? Once you have that core idea without the crypto piece, right? For us, it's like, okay, people want easy, simple, on-the-go trading. Like, that's what they want. They want conversational trading, right? That's what they want. They want games that are fun and they can earn. You don't need any crypto for that, right? They want AI agents that help them stay informed, create information, and execute actions, right? Crypto just adds incentives, it adds wallets, it adds, it deletes the middleman, and it brings those crypto values I talked about earlier. And so I think that's why I like crypto, because it's like, I don't want to be posting on Instagram and making no money anymore. Like, I don't want to, post on Twitter. I don't want people to create these amazing scientific research reports and then they're a footnote in another report and they don't, they're still, getting paid by their university $30,000 a year to come up with reports. It's just not enough to incentivize them.
Yeah. And innovation stalls when there's no incentive. Even if the incentive is just being the first to, to create something because the space is exciting.
And that's the thing about me. I'm an investor at heart, and Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett, they always say, like, you show me the incentives and I'll show you the outcome. And so incentives are the most important thing. There's nothing more important than the incentives. I know people are too afraid to talk about it sometimes, but like, I like to dive into that, right? And I like to get into those incentives and really understand what are the incentives here, right? What are the pros and cons of that next check, right? And so that's where I lie there.
Now, you mentioned that you lived in both New York and Nigeria. Your entire team is based in Nigeria, right?
Most of them, yes.
Yeah. So can you tell me a little bit about the work that you're doing over in Lagos?
So I have a family office I started after I left Glass, was abruptly fired at Glass. And
you were Steve Jobs?
How they say Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, Sam Altman, or whatever you call it. And I started a family office over there, right? And my dad does private equity, and so I had advantages that I needed to play to. And I always tell people, play to your advantages. Stop shying away from your advantages. We're living in a world where people are telling people to be the victim, or people are telling people that it's okay to feel like a victim. It's not okay. Like, at the end of the day, you will always have an advantage somebody doesn't have. There is no, like, I know Aristotle always says the greatest inequality is treating all things as equal. It's like, everybody has an advantage. You have to play to your advantages at the end of the day. Like, that's what capitalism is. That's the system we live in with capitalism. You play to your advantage. And so I went to Nigeria, which was my biggest advantage. And in Nigeria, I had a community because I went to middle school there. And then I started a family office where I was only doing liquid token investing. And I had some friends from crypto who gave me really, really strong advice on starting this up. Ryan Watkins was helpful. A couple other guys were helpful. And my dad was very helpful, and his partners. So we started up a small family office, me and my brother, and we were invested in liquid tokens. And then around February, a team came up to me, and they had built some of the most impressive products I've seen in crypto. Literally the best engineers I had seen yet in crypto were in Nigeria. And so I was like, okay, one, they need this tech, right? There's double inflation, right? From me being in middle school, 200 Naira was $1. Today, I think it's like 1,400 Naira is $1.
Whoa.
Right? So it's like, it's double digit inflation from me being in middle school till now. in 10 years, right? And so we need this, they need stable coins, they need Bitcoin, they need cryptocurrencies, and they need new ways to earn, right? So a lot of our creators, when I was previously working at Glass, were coming from Nigeria. A lot of at SudoCat, a lot of the gamers are Nigerians, and our biggest gaming communities, Nigeria, Indonesia, Pakistan. A lot of these people need small ways to earn. And last cycle, I helped out with Axie a little bit, getting them into Nigeria. And I think, what we're seeing with games, specifically in these emerging markets, is that they eat those up. They love the games in emerging markets, and these provide a new revenue stream for them that they can use while they're, at the local, mom and pop shop on the block. They can, playing the games on the sideline, making, residual income. And so that's, engagement and earning. Those two things, we're always going to push those two things. And I think Nigeria is one of those places where I'm literally at the forefront again, because you can just see, okay, it's like being on M-Pesa in Kenya in 2005. And then Venmo comes out in 2006,
Right.
That's what it's like. It's like I'm seeing things every day that I know are going to be totally normal across the globe, but it's like you're seeing it for the first time here in Nigeria. Like whether that's Telegram AI agents, WhatsApp AI agents, mobile apps, people saying, hey, like if I do this work, can I get a task, like Super Team Earn, can I get a reward for putting out a Twitter thread that's really quality? Or if I put out this Medium article on the scientific research, can I get a little tip for that? And so Nigeria is a very tip money-based culture. So crypto really works there, because it's like the culture of the people is like, I land in that airport, I'm tipping 3 people. I get home, 2 tips, so it's in the same way crypto's transactions, Nigeria is a bunch of transactions, and so
My tips are microtransactions.
right. So the culture resonates. And if you never lived in that culture, you wouldn't know. So it's best. So that's why we started the family office, because like only $20 million went into investing in Nigerian startups and Nigerian Web3 startups last year. $20 million. Right. So it's like $20 million for a place that's top 4, top 2, sometimes top 1 crypto adopter, top 2, top 1 for stablecoin adopter. It's literally the top place, but the issue is funding. And so I always tell people the incentives is why I started there, because funding is incentives, right? I always tell people product, distribution, financing, right? Product is only 25% of your success. Distribution is 50% of your success. And then you have financing, which is the other 25%. So you still do need the right financial incentives and at least a mediocre product, right? And then you need distribution. And what Nigeria lacks is what I excel at, which is, giving, having enough sense to know what is a product that people want, right? And then distribution and financing, knowing how to get this product distributed better than anyone else. I'm probably the best in Nigeria to do that, right? Knowing how to get the right financial models on top of that product, right? I'm, one of the best people to do that. I did so many different payment models on just videos, so many different payment models on just games, so many different payment models on just DEXs, right? And so, and specifically mobile DEXs, which is where we focus. And so I think, Nigeria is literally, it 100x'd me. It made me just way better as a crypto investor and a crypto founder, because now it's like, oh snap, like they're like, now I'm seeing, okay, like, this, woman is good at writing Twitter threads. Let's create a bounty system for her. She has, her whole DAO of friends, like, and there's so many pockets of great crypto builders. We did a hackathon and we're getting like trivia, questions for classes where you can make money in a high school class for answering trivia questions on Base. You got things for Flow where you're doing like bridging on Flow blockchain. So I think there's so many creative things we're seeing on the ground that, like, one, the builders in just America just aren't hungry enough. Two, the builders there are super hungry. So they, like, you put up a hackathon and they're there. We had 200 people in 1 week that we did a hackathon, right? We did all that in 1 week. Nobody's doing this, in Nigeria. And so I think it just shows, we make things happen faster. I threw some of the best events back in the past, and I love to throw events, and I've always been throwing events for all my startup spot, which was a AI personal map back in 2017 at U Chicago. And I can juggle two things at once, right? So I was All-American soccer player, and I had a $5 million market cap startup in college, right? And so it's like, you need these star just triathletes, these star people that can do multiple things at one time. And you need those types of founders to really get Nigeria to where I think it should be. And I think where Nigeria is going with the products, my family office is backing the products we're incubating and building, like SudoLabs and SudoCat. I think within a matter of 3 to 4 years, we're going to have some of the most used crypto products coming out of Nigeria, and actually within the next 12 months.
So this was something I didn't actually know before I started working with AxonDAO. I picked up a book on crypto, one by Rick Edelman. He's one of the top financial advisors, and it's called The Truth About Crypto. And in that book, which I believe was written, books age so fast in this space. So I think this book was written in 2022 and it already feels outdated. But he mentioned there that Nigeria, I think 30% of the population holds Bitcoin right now, which, given even now at a slightly suppressed rate, probably positions them to be the largest population of millionaires within just a few years. So this is now starting to seem to me to be the loudest, quietest revolution we've seen, because it's not a secret to Africa. It's not a secret to many other countries, but to Western countries, particularly America, we don't know that this is happening, and we don't see nearly the adoption rate. So what do you wish more Western folks understood about the market in Africa, and specifically about crypto adoption and why it's become so widespread?
Well, follow the smart money, right? The smart money is coming into Africa at an accelerating rate due to my advantages. I know that. And so I would say the Western world, a lot of the Western world's building is going to be coming from Nigeria. It actually is right now. A lot of people just don't even know it. It's coming from places like Nigeria. It's coming from places like Vietnam, and it's coming from places like Southeast Asia, and in Africa, Kenya. You have places like the Congo. I'm seeing like these guys are smart, and they're coming up with solutions that are going to power the whole 21st century, right? It's what the nuclear bomb came from the Congo. So it's that same stuff is happening right now. So I think, in terms of, the things that people are going to be building and using, for this century, I think a lot of them are going to come from Africa. And I think if Axon did set up this crazy incentive program for research papers, I think it would be easier to discover these people who are coming up with these innovative technologies, right? But right now it's we're only discovering them when it goes viral on Instagram, or it goes viral on Twitter or something like that. This person invented a new energy form, or this person did some novel, that president dropped the Central Africa Republic meme coin or token, right? And so when we think about the presidents that dropped the token, Trump, Javier Milei in Argentina, and Central Africa Republic, they dropped, those were the 3 presidents that dropped a meme coin. in that phase, right? And that's one country in the Western world where it's the most adoptive president of crypto ever. And then you have Argentina, who suffered from double-digit inflation, and you have Central African Republic, who suffered from double-digit inflation, right? And so it's like the evidence is right there in your face. It's just that a lot of people don't want to believe that the new world is going to be in the Southern Hemisphere, in Africa, and South America. But I think, honestly, a lot of the smart money's already there. I think a lot of people are already in Africa. Chinese and Americans are there. I know that for a fact. And so I think right now it's about figuring out how Africa can trade better, And so I think there needs to be new models for trade, right? Okay, we can trade a research paper, right? It's like, Axon, like, how can we create a research paper exchange? How can we create, things that, data exchanges, energy exchanges? All these ideas people are just starting to crack at it. AxonDAO is doing that in the science space. So it's like, raise enough money to get these ideas to work, or to take enough stabs at the idea and have that conviction that at some point, there might be just some novel research paper that's being written in Africa, and you only need one to hit, right? You need one to hit all the volumes on that paper or whatever. And so, yeah, what was your question?
I'm just thinking about what you said. I'm like, this is what AxonDAO is here to do, is help people raise enough money to make sure their ideas work and at least to give them a shot to try.
Give them a shot to try, and the issue in the past was people were doing these mirror articles, they were raising these fundings and stuff like that, but it wasn't sustainable in any way, right? And so that's why I'm like, don't be so stuck on NFTs. Like, don't be so stuck on the tool. Be stuck on the core idea of science, research, and incentives, right? It's like, as long as you're stuck in that idea, you're not on Twitter having some like, oh, meme coins are bad for people, or da-da-da-da-da, or bad. Like who are you to be the moral guider on what's happening? Like, you should be cheering people on. And should be saying, thank God for meme coins, because at least now there's a new way for people to get paid, and so use the tool. Don't let the tool cause you to feel used. It's like, at the end of the day, use the tool to the best you can. If, whoever use Instagram and Twitter, like, I'm not going to hate on them for using Instagram to use the tool, but always don't forget the core principles of why you started using that tool, right? We wanted to have traders and gamers earn profitably and engage more, right?
I hear almost a parenting philosophy in what you're saying, is like, this is how I try to be with my kids. It's like, don't shame them for making mistakes or for doing things differently than you would have done. You celebrate them for playing outside the system, coloring outside the lines. Like, you encourage that creativity and that innovation, because that's how we build something new that works for everyone.
And that's what crypto needs. Crypto is too childish. It's too many man-childs going on that have never done anything, and they think they're so impressive because they, I don't know, might have gotten funding from another man. They're not that impressive. Like, it's like, at the end of the day, let that ego go down and actually really try to do something cool and solve people's problems. Okay. Like, all this, there's just like, I'm thinking about all the, like, $20 million went to Nigeria last year in funding, right? And that was a decrease from the year before, right? And it's like, now, like, those are people focused on pretty much stablecoin solutions, payment solutions, everyday transactions, right? And you got people over here raising for another Ethereum L2. It's like 7 million, 10 million. It's like, what? Like, why? Right? And so it's like, we gotta stop it. Like, it has to stop at some point. And the reality is the market's going to stop it. Like, in the same way the market was like, okay, no more NFT businesses. It's like the market's going to say no more L2s at some point. It's not up to, and so follow the money, but you also have to like respect the market and be like, okay, if the market's buying these meme coins, the market is sending a message, right? How the market moves is a message. And so you just have to actually be listening and receiving these messages in a very honest way. And if you don't, if there's no message, say you're doing something like AxonDAO where it's still ahead of the curve for sure, then you have to have that conviction that like, listen, like all we have to do is find that one financial partner that does see the vision here. And we need to hold on to that partnership for dear life. And then once the market does see the value there and you figure out how to rework it to work with the market, boom, then you're out of here. Right. And so that's the race to product market fit that any protocol would have to do, going forward, I think.
So I have just one more question for you because I know we're getting close on time. If someone was listening to this, what would be the one thing you want them to take away from this conversation?
Conviction. Conviction. You need conviction. Conviction. You need conviction. Like I'm grateful that I still have conviction, and so you just need to have conviction in your beliefs and inverse, go from the other way, use the indirect approach. And then chew glass, you're chewing glass through that conviction. Like I'm not like the conviction is hard to hold. That's why I'm saying conviction is important, because it's like you're going to get to a point where you're going to want to quit. And then at that point, you're going to need to make the decision, like, do you still have conviction in this idea? And even, and the thing is, it's like, it's not about how you, like, some people think it's about how you feel about the idea. I don't think it's like, I think you fall more in love, like, with your convictions. Like say you had a girlfriend or a wife. It's like, I think I would fall more in love with my wife over time than just that initial moment, And so I think it's like, a lot of people in crypto are still young. It's still a 16-year-old industry. It's still a teenage boy or girl, and so it's still discovering itself. And so you need to have that parent mindset of being like, listen, just keep playing soccer, even if, keep playing football, even if football is maybe not your favorite sport. If you have a natural talent for football, keep playing it and keep playing it, right? And keep following that, right? You don't have to abandon it because you had one bad month, right? You don't have to abandon it because, like literally, we just got to a Bitcoin breakout, right? Like this happened the week after tax week, right? Now we're in a new phase of the bull market, right? We're going to have one more rally, one more correction, another rally, right? We just already had our first rally, first correction, right? And so a lot of people quit in that first correction. And that was like 7 days ago. So a lot of people within 7 to 30 days before this quit and they sold and they made bad decisions. A lot of these people, it was their first cycle. I'm a 3-cycle crypto guy, right? I've already been in this since 2017. So I have, of course, more understanding of the cycles, but I would say conviction and learning the cycles, like learn the cycles. Like I think just learning the cycles of yourself, of the world. You can look at the moon, but like once you get an appreciation for cycles in this world, right? There's scientific research cycles, there's gaming cycles, there's AI cycles, there's crypto cycles, right? If you study all these patterns in these cycles, right, and you have conviction on your idea, you can time your idea to the cycle and you can win. But a lot of people, they don't even know, they don't think the moon runs in cycles. They don't even think the sun, they don't think the earth revolves around the sun. They know they know it, but they just don't think about it and they don't internalize that into their business, right? A lot of CEOs, right? It's like, you need to know the crypto cycle. You need to know that there's another pump coming and there's another correction and there's another pump and there's a correction, but this correction is it, right? Right? That correction is that last correction of this bull market, right? And so you need to have a strong understanding of the cycles, which I didn't have last cycle as much as I could have, which is what got me into my situation. And then two, you need that conviction, and you need to be different, right? You do it differently than however everyone else is doing it, do it in a different way. But you can do the same thing, but you just have to do it in a different way, right? And so have that conviction that you can do something different and better than someone else in what you're doing, and you'll know when you'll be able to do that as long as you have a good understanding of the cycles.
I think your conviction, that's probably the word I would have used to describe you, that your conviction is so clear. And I think that's the message that I needed to hear right now. A lot of us that are navigating a really tough market and maybe our first cycles needed to hear that right now. But when I listen to you, I think it's really clear that history is going to remember you as one of the visionary builders in this space. So thank you. Thank you for taking the time to talk with us today. I'm so looking forward to this podcast being a video NFT at some point in a history book.
Hey.
And everyone's going to be here's the one that said it first. He was the one that said, turn your vision outside, look outside of these borders and see what's happening, see what you're building, and keep believing in it. So thank you. If our listeners want to find you, where do they find you in SudoLabs?
So at SudoCat AI on Twitter, at SudoCat for SudoCat. Twitter, we have a ridiculous partnership coming in May. So definitely turn your notifications on for that. And I think that's going to put us in a whole new sphere. And then Dayo Adeosun, DAYOADEOSUN, Dayo Adeosun 10 on Twitter, and I'm that on Instagram as well. And shoot me a DM if you want to be a part of this play, trade, earn economy that we're building. Play, trade, and earn. That's what we're doing it to help people engage and earn.
Thank you again for sharing that. Thank you for being here, for making the time. I definitely owe you some fried rice. If y'all don't know, the high school we went to, the best fried rice in the world is a couple blocks away. So we got to plan to go back down memory lane soon. And thank you for joining us again on the AxonDAO podcast. I'll see you soon.
Thank you so much, Alea. Thank you to the Axon team as well. This was amazing.